Second Thailand visit to boost cross-border ties, regional stability. Singapore forms Economic Resilience Task Force amid US tariff. Salam Malaysia Madani. This is World Today with me, SAHIH. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim will undertake a working visit to Thailand today, during which he is expected to meet his counterpart, Pattern Shinawat, to discuss strengthening bilateral relations and enhancing cross-border cooperation. Charged the affairs at interim of the Malaysian Embassy in Thailand, Bong Yik Jui, said the Prime Minister is scheduled to hold bilateral meetings with Pattern at the Government House. The two leaders are also expected to follow up on the outcomes of the 7th Malaysia-Thailand Annual Consultation AC held on 16 December last year in Putrajaya.
Isu yang menjadi satu hasil kepada kerjasama Malaysia dan Thailand ialah pembinaan jambatan rantau panjang yang menyambungkan rantau panjang Malaysia dan Sungai Kolok Thailand. So projek tersebut sekarang telah berada di tahap membuat perjanjian pembinaan, which is the construction agreement, di mana Menteri Kerja Raya Malaysia dan Menteri Pengangkutan Thailand akan membuat pertukaran perjanjian.
During the visit, Datuk Seri Anwar is also scheduled to meet Myanmar's Senior General Min Aung Hlaing to advocate for an extension of the ceasefire between Myanmar's military government and resistant groups in support of ongoing earthquake relief efforts. The Prime Minister is expected to hold discussion with Thailand's captains of industry and business leaders during a session at a hotel in Bangkok. In the evening, Datuk Seri Anwar is scheduled to have a private meeting with the former Thai Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawat, during which the Myanmar peace process and US tariffs are expected to be among the key topics discussed. In 2024, Thailand was Malaysia's 7th largest trading partner globally and 3rd largest within ASEAN, with total trade amounting to $25.03 billion. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim stressed that although Malaysia is strengthening its relationship with China through a pragmatic approach, it does not affect existing relations with other major powers.
Jadi kita ambil sikap siapa yang baik, dan sambutan negara China ini harus saya tegaskan, ya. Dia negara besar, ekonominya kuat, ketenteraannya itu sangat kuat, tetapi kita tidak pernah merasakan satu permasalahan atau tekanan, dan hubungan kita itu dianggap sebagai satu negara yang setara dengan mereka. Perbincangan, penghormatan diberikan, itu bagi saya sangat bermakna.
The Prime Minister, in an exclusive interview, added that China's approach, which emphasizes aspects of culture, civilization and shared prosperity, is in line with the Malaysia Madani narrative. He said this was especially in strengthening the values of humanity, compassion and the spirit of building a universal civilization. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has reiterated that China remains Malaysia's most significant trading partner, more so with the global trading system being thrown into disarray and market access being weaponized following the imposition of debilitating tariffs on 168 countries, including both Malaysia and China. In his speech at a dinner hosted in honor of visiting Chinese President Xi Jinping at Sri Perdana, the Prime Minister said China's global initiatives offer a new lease on hope as they are outward-looking, coming at a time when multilateralism was under tremendous strain due to the tariffs.
In these trying times, the world yearns for steadiness, reliability, and purpose. We see this in China's conduct. Malaysia acknowledges such steadiness with quiet recognition and is conscious not only of the calm it has brought, but of the hope it may continue to offer.
The Prime Minister also said Malaysia and China's foreign policies are shaped by a clear-eyed vision of both countries' interests as well as ASEAN centrality. As such, Datuk Seri Anwar said Malaysia will remain an unwavering and principled friend to China, guided by the wisdom of history and the promise of a shared future between the two countries.
China has been a rational, strong and reliable partner. Malaysia values this consistency. May this friendship between Malaysia and China endure, deep as the seas, steady as the stars, and bright with the promise of tomorrow.
He added Malaysia, as this year's ASEAN chair, looks forward to welcoming China to the inaugural ASEAN Gulf Cooperation Council GCC summit in May. The banquet followed a meeting between Datuk Seri Anwar and Xi, during which both leaders discussed bilateral cooperation and exchanged views on regional and international issues of mutual interest. They also witnessed the exchange of 31 memoranda of understanding, agreements and notes between Malaysia and China. Meanwhile, President Xi departed Malaysia for Cambodia today after concluding a 3-day state visit. The Air China aircraft carrying Xi and his delegation took off from Kuala Lumpur International Airport at 10:04 a.m. The 1st Battalion of the Royal Ranger Regiment ceremonial provided an honour guard for Xi during the farewell ceremony at the Bunga Raya complex. The Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, Datuk Seri Mohammed Hassan, were also present to bid farewell to the delegation. The send-off ceremony was graced by the vibrant beats of traditional Malay, Chinese and Indian drums performed by the Arjuna Sukma Academy from Gombak. Singapore's Trade Minister on Wednesday said that he cannot rule out a recession for the local economy this year following US President Donald Trump's trade war, as he announced a task force to help businesses and workers address challenges. Singapore on Monday downgraded its GDP forecast for 2025 to 0 to 2% from the previous 1% to 3% after preliminary estimates showed the economy contracted in the first quarter. Additionally, Trade Minister Gan Kim Yong, who is also the Deputy Prime Minister, said at a press conference that companies in Singapore have already been affected by the trade war between the US and China and warned of a further global economic impact if Trump were to put additional tariffs on semiconductor and pharmaceutical industries.
In fact, some companies in Singapore are already being affected. For example, those who have manufacturing operations in China or sell to manufacturers in China for onward sales to the US are already seeing cancelled orders or deferred orders. This dangerous game of brinksmanship between the US-China also risks greater tension that can easily spill over to other countries and other areas.
Gan chairs the Economic Task Force of 8 members, including ministers, civil servants from various ministries and representatives from business associations and the labour union. The task force will assess the impact of new developments, address challenges that arise and develop long-term strategies and responses. Singapore faces tariffs on US imports of 10%. German news agency DPA reported a region-by-region analysis by the World Trade Organization WTO suggests that tariffs will hit the United States and Canada hardest. Alongside trade volumes, economic output is expected to suffer. In its report published on Wednesday in Geneva, the WTO forecasts gross domestic product growth in North America, which it defines as the US and Canada of just 0.4% this year, down from an earlier estimate of 2%. North American exports are projected to fall by 12.6% in 2025, while imports are set to drop by 9.6%. Prior to US President Donald Trump's tariff announcement, the organization had expected exports to rise by 2.2% and imports by 2.8%. Chinese exports to the US are now forecast to fall by 77% under the current scenario. If the current scenario holds, the WTO expects the global volume of traded goods to shrink by 0.2%, a reversal from the 2.7% growth previously expected. Global GDP is now projected to grow by 2.2% in 2025, down from the WTO's earlier forecast of 2.8%. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum announced on Wednesday that Mexico would not renew diplomatic relations with Ecuador as long as Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa remains in office. The rift is a result of Ecuador's raid on the Mexican embassy in Quito in April last year, after which Mexico recalled its diplomats from the South American country.
No tenemos relaciones con Ecuador, ni vamos a seguir teniendo relaciones con Ecuador mientras Noboa ejerza el cargo de presidente, porque él fue el responsable de la invasión a la Embajada de México, a nuestra soberanía. Entonces no se van a reanudar las relaciones y además pues fue muy dudosa su triunfo, en particular reconocido por la propia OEA.
Sheinbaum raised concerns about the election results, particularly citing a preliminary report by the Organization of American States, OAS, which claimed Noboa used public resources and state institutions to bolster his campaign. Noboa reportedly won the 56% of the vote. The OAS said, as a sitting president, Noboa should have taken an unpaid leave of absence during the campaign, which he failed to do. Luisa Gonzalez, who ran against Noboa on Sunday, accused Noboa and his administration of committing electoral fraud. Sheinbaum had publicly backed Gonzalez during the campaign. Trading started in Asia on a slightly positive note before tapering off on Thursday morning as the risk of slowing growth and rising prices due to tariffs still loom overhead. In Japan, the Nikkei 225 index opened at 33,987.01, rising slightly at the open, with the Nikkei's average futures up 0.1% in early trading. Hong Kong's benchmark, the Hang Seng Index, opened 9 points higher at 21,066, while in South Korea, the benchmark Korea Composite Stock Price Index KOSPI opened up 5.44 points or 0.22% at 2,452.87. Residents of South Korea's capital Seoul expressed worries about job insecurity due to subpar market performance caused by US President Donald Trump's sweeping global tariffs. US Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell warned of the risk of slowing growth and rising prices due to tariffs on Wednesday, while the uncertainty around US trade policies kept the dollar rooted near three-year lows.
Welcome to On the Table.
Obviously, there are two main engines of growth in any economies.
What are the implications of Malaysia's growth on employment, income levels, and also standard of living per population?
From a historical perspective, it's been good. The capacity in our country can be built to be in the same level as the world standards.
Coming up next, 8,000 missing in war-torn Sudan in 2024. The International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, on Wednesday said that at least 8,000 people were reported missing in war-ravaged Sudan in 2024. It also warned that the figure is just the tip of the iceberg. According to head of the ICRC delegation in Sudan, Daniel O'Malley, the ICRC was not only working to trace missing persons, but also focusing on bolstering forensic capacity within Sudan to help identify victims years later and ensure their proper burial. Celebrated as Sudan's brutal conflict entered its third year, the pain of not knowing where their loved ones are may remain an open wound long after the war ends. Sudan's war, which erupted in April 2023, has killed tens of thousands, displaced 13 million, and triggered what the United Nations described as the world's worst humanitarian crisis. The conflict has pitted the forces of Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan against those of his former deputy Mohammed Hamdan Daglo, who leads the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces RSF. In recent days, the vast western region of Darfur has seen some of the deadliest battles since the conflict erupted. A Russian mass drone attack killed 2 people and injured at least 16 on Wednesday evening in the southeastern Ukrainian city of Dnipro, according to the regional governor. Sri Governor of Dnipro-Petrovsk region, wrote on the Telegram messaging app that a young woman and an elderly woman had been killed. Lisa said 16 people had been injured, including 3 children, aged 11, 6 years old and 9 months. 5 people were being treated in hospital. Dnipro Mayor Boris Filatov shared pictures showing damage to buildings and scattered debris. Writing on Telegram, he put the number of injured at 28 and said one strike came within 100 meters of the municipal offices. A Hamas official said that the group is sending a delegation to the Gulf state of Qatar to continue indirect ceasefire talks with Israel over the war in Gaza, as the territory's health ministry announced that 38 people were confirmed dead over the past day. The Hamas official confirmed they have been discussing terms for a new ceasefire agreement over recent days in Cairo, including a proposal that Hamas free 8 to 10 hostages held in Gaza. The official added the talks in Qatar are meant to take place later this week or next. Additionally, Hamas is said to have rejected an Israeli proposal for a 6-week ceasefire in Gaza, which called for the group to give up its weapons. A senior Palestinian official said the plan gave no commitment to end the war or for an Israeli troops pull out key Hamas demands in exchange for releasing half of the living hostages which it holds. Officials from Israel and Qatar had no immediate comment. Israel and Hamas agreed to a ceasefire in January that lasted 8 weeks before Israel resumed the war last month. The initial ceasefire agreement was meant to bring the sides toward negotiating an end to the war. According to Colombian media reports, the water level of one of Colombia's major rivers remained high in the rural town of Mahagual on Wednesday following heavy rains that had caused it to swell, affecting over 1,000 families. The surge of the Coca River submerged Caribbean towns, including Mahagual, after intense rainfall prompted Colombia's Disaster Risk Agency to issue alerts on 11 April. Residents used makeshift bridges made of wooden boards to access their homes and navigate the flooded streets. Local residents expressed frustration over the persistent flooding since the regional Kegato Dike breach in 2021. Originally designed to manage the river's flow and protect agricultural lands from flooding, the infrastructure has faced criticism from environmentalists for disrupting the river's natural course and posing a risk of further breaches. The Sucre government announced on Monday that efforts are underway to reinforce and construct embankments and to deploy sandbags to mitigate flooding risks. Coming up in sports, 2.10 million ringgit awaits winner at Malaysia Masters 2025. Stay with us. About 2.10 million ringgit awaits the Malaysia Masters 2025 winners. Badminton Association of Malaysia Interim President Dato' V. Subramaniam said the higher prize pool is expected to attract more world-level players to compete in this year's edition.
All the top players are coming. Most of the top players. Yeah. Confirm. 298 players are participating. Yeah, every time when there is an increase in prize money, all players will enjoy it.
The briefing reporters on Wednesday, he also expressed the highest appreciation to Perusahaan Automobil Kedua, Pro2, Sdn Bhd as the main sponsor of the tournament, which is entering its 7th edition this year. According to him, continued support from Pro2 plays a pivotal role in pushing the tournament status in Super 500 level. Pro2 President and Chief Executive Officer Datuk Sri Zainal Abidin Ahmad said they were honoured to be part of the tournament, which has become a key fixture in Malaysia's badminton calendar. Tickets for the Malaysia Masters 2025 can be purchased tomorrow at www.ticket2u.com.my. The Badminton Association of Malaysia (BAM) have confirmed that national shuttlers Cheng Tanji and Toh Iwei will resume their partnership in the mixed doubles event. In a Facebook update, BAM said that the decision was made following a request from both players and after extensive discussions between them and the coaching team. BAM said the duo, who previously achieved a career-high world ranking of number 3, will now refocus their efforts on the international stage, beginning with the Singapore Open as they look to reclaim their top form. On 28 March, BAM had announced the decision to split the national mixed doubles pair for upcoming tournaments. The decision was made at a performance committee meeting based on the recommendation of the coaching panel, including doubles coaching director Rexy Menaiki and mixed doubles head coach Nova Widianto. Previously, speculation of a rift between the pair intensified when Yi Wei deleted all her photos with Tang Ji from her Instagram page after their first round exit at the 2025 All England Championships. Stefano Tsitsipas and Holger Rune took the ATP 500 Barcelona Open by storm, delivering breathtaking performances and setting the stage on fire with their exceptional skills on clay court. Both of them advanced to the quarterfinals of the Barcelona Open Wednesday after the former beat American Sebastian Korda in a closely fought two-setter. Greek Tsitsipas is a 4-time finalist at the event and he qualified again for the last 8 with a 7-6, 6-4 victory as he chases a maiden title in Catalonia. The Greek came up against spirited opposition with both players strong on their serve but did not concede a breakpoint in the straight sets win. He will next face off with Frenchman Arthur Fils, who beat Spaniard Pedro Martinez in straight sets 6-3, 6-2. Denmark's Holger Rune also advanced to the quarterfinals after rallying from a set down to beat Argentine Sebastian Baez 4-6, 6-1, 6-2. Rune will now meet Norway's Barcelona Open holder Casper Ruud for a place in the semi-finals. As the Barcelona Open unfolds, fans can expect more electrifying matches and jaw-dropping moments from these tennis prodigies as they battle it out for supremacy. World number 2, Iga Swiatek won 6-2, 6-2 against Croatian qualifier Jana Fett and the last 16 of the WTA event in Stuttgart on Wednesday. Swiatek broke her 153rd ranked opponent twice in the first set and 3 times in the second. The victory marked a return to winning ways for 5-time Grand Slam winner Swiatek as she bounced back from a surprise defeat to Alexandra Ila in the quarterfinals of the Miami Open in March. The Pole has twice won in Stuttgart in 2022 and 2023. A third Stuttgart crown would be Swiatek's first tournament victory in 2025. After a slow start to the second set, Belgium's Elise Martens completed its second round upset of number 8 seed Diana Schneider of Russia, using 8 aces, including 5 in the winning set, to advance to the quarterfinals with a 6-2, 7-6 win. Schneider, who came back strong in the second set, did not prevail as Mertens came charging back thanks to 5 aces while winning 47.2% of return points. Rising star Mira Andreeva booked her spot in the round of 16 early on Wednesday as she progressed when her elder sister Erika retired while trailing 6-2, 1-love. 17-year-old Russian will take on Ekaterina Alexandrova for a spot in the quarters. World number 1 Aryna Sabalenka is already assured of a spot in the last 8 despite not yet taking to the court in Stuttgart.
Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, Eric Andreeva has retired.
Arsenal stave off Champions League holders Real Madrid superstars and reach history of unlikely comebacks to snatch a 2-1 victory on Wednesday and reach the semi-finals with a superb 5-1 aggregate triumph. The Gunners' 3-0 quarter-final first leg triumph last week gave them a vital cushion in the Spanish capital as they made the Final Four for the first time since 2009, where they will face Paris Saint-Germain. A cacophony of noise greeted kickoff with the home fans fueled by the hope of witnessing what would have been one of the greatest Champions League comebacks. But Real's knack of extricating themselves from difficult positions in a competition they won 6 times in the previous 11 seasons deserted them as they were comprehensively outplayed. Holders and 15 times winner Real never looked like clawing back a 3-0 deficit from last week's quarter-final first leg, and when Bukayo Saka scored for the visitors in the 65th minute, their fate was effectively sealed. Vinicius Jr. seized on a rare defensive slip to rouse the home crowd, but it proved too little too late as Carlo Ancelotti's side exited in feeble fashion. Arsenal's superiority over the 2 legs was underlined in stoppage time as Gabriel Martinelli burst through the score. They will face Paris Saint-Germain in the first Champions League semi-final since 2009. Inter Milan's travel dream remains alive and kicking after reaching the semi-finals of the Champions League on Wednesday thanks to a 2-2 draw with Bayern Munich, which won the Serie A giant a pulsating last 8 tie 4-3 on aggregate. Italian champions Inter will face Barcelona in the semis after goals in the space of 3 minutes from captain Lautaro Martinez and Benjamin Pavard cancelled out a hurricane strike for Bayern, which levelled the tie in the 52nd minute. Eric Diaz's looping header in the 75th minute earned Bayern a draw on the night in soaking and blustering Milan, but that wasn't enough for Vincent Kompany's side to continue their bid to be crowned kings of Europe for a 7th time. Simone Inzaghi's side came through in awful conditions at the San Siro, where a combination of a heavy rain and driving winds affected both teams' ability to play their best football, but added uncertainty and tension to an already highly charged occasion. Inter are still on for a repeat of the Serie A, Champions League and Italian Cup treble won under Jose Mourinho in 2010, as they are also 3 points ahead of Napoli in Italy's top flight and face AC Milan in the semi-finals of the domestic cup. Wednesday win show that Inter are more than capable of reaching the final of Europe's elite club competition, as they did 2 years ago when they were narrowly beaten by Manchester City.
Membakar semangat juang dua pasukan. Pemburuan tahta terulung bakal dimuktamadkan dengan pertembungan 2 gergasi. Harimau Selatan kini bersedia merempuh pertahanan kebal skuad Tok Gajah. Nantikan penentuannya dalam siaran langsung perlawanan akhir Unify Gala Malaysia 2024-2025. Johor Darul Takzim bertemu Sri Pahang FC 26 April 8 malam di saluran OK dan Sukan RTM. Juga penstreaman langsung di RTM Click.
That's it from us this afternoon in our top story. Second Thailand visit to boost cross-border ties, regional stability. Malaysia Tonight comes on at 8:30 p.m. this evening on TV1 and MyTV's Berita RTM news channel. And River to the Sea, Palestine will be free. Thanks for watching.